Welcome everyone. Nice to be back. Yeah, these always feel like a beautiful time together, just so we can settle down, find that peace, find that inner peace. That's the only reason why I'm doing this, nothing more. And as always, I've put my prayers out there as to what this session may be. And it's over to him. I have all my ideas, and let them go. And see what unfolds in this moment, in this miraculous moment. Because that's what it is, isn't it? It's a miraculous moment. It's a moment to find myself or lose myself. So today's theme that was really strong in my heart this week, as you may have noticed, the post went up a bit quicker than it has been of recent times, because this theme seems to have been around me. Something was wanting to be revealed to me. And it's the title of the talk is A New Concept. And of course, as we know, through A Course in Miracles, that we're letting go of all concepts. That's the actual whole point. Concepts are still judgments. But there is a part in the Course where he teaches us about the right use of concepts. And that's what I'm going to share about today. That's very, very important to me. Because if you think about yourself, you have an idea of who you are. Maybe where you were born, the country that you were born in, the culture, the sex, and then there's many ideas from that you took on, interests, things you like, things you don't like. And it's all of these judgments to try and find what we like, what we don't like. And in between all that is all of our judgments towards ourselves, towards others, which keeps us absolutely separate and is actually this false concept. And as A Course in Miracles teaches, is that you don't want to look at what you believe because you believe that you've done something wrong. There's something very deep inside that says that I shouldn't allow myself to be myself, because if I did, I would be hated. And as the Course in Miracles teaches, this world was made in hate. So there's a lot of hatred, and that is towards yourself. Not in truth, that's the point of it. It's not actually real. But while we find ourselves within this predicament of believing in these false beliefs, then they seem pretty real. And so we're having to face all of our dark thoughts about ourselves. That's what any spiritual practice really is. You can look at that over a span of thousands of years that seeming others have been doing this journey. The dark night of the soul. The looking in and seeing the false as false. And of course, we made a pact with the ego not to look at these things. And we were promised some happiness, some bad times and some good times from the ego. And at that time, that felt pretty good. It was like, okay, there's going to be some bad times in my life that I'm going to have to cope with. Illness, death, sickness, pain, suffering. And there's going to be some good times. And so that's what we do, don't we? We throw in the relationships, body relationships are the ego's most boasted gift. And they are a defense against the truth. Because ultimately no one's actually going to save you other than yourself to fully realize yourself. So we're caught in this mirror of perception that is not true. And so that's where I've been looking myself. I've been seeing in my mind again, it's like, okay, and it just comes round and round, so it's nothing major. And it's like, okay, I want to see that hatred. I want to see that self-hatred so I can continue to clear it in my own mind. And that's a very deep prayer of mine, to continuously keep looking. Because of course the ego doesn't want you to look, doesn't want you to look at these patterns that you're holding on to that actually you like. That's the predicament that we find. We're actually more addicted to the fearful thoughts than we are the loving thoughts. That's what's become familiar. And now it's going to take a huge reversal to speed up the process of seeing that you are everything. And so that's how this has taken me into this journey. It's like seeing, just how you treat yourself. This is a really, really good thing to do. It's like, are you being hard on yourself in your own mind if you get something wrong? Do you notice some harshness in your thoughts about yourself and about others? And if it is about others, it's still only ever about yourself. Judgments. And the ego just wants to judge everything. And so I've seen that, a lot of judgments towards myself. If I do something wrong, stupid, idiot. And it's so just in the background. It's just chugging away there. And it can hardly be noticed. But yet you don't realise, or I don't realise, how much of a greater effect that is having on you. It's dampening the light of the truth of who you are, of who I am. And so although this process can seem very, very subtle, but yet it's destroying your light by believing in it. And so the ego can only survive because we allow it to be there, because we believe in it. And it can be dispelled by not believing in it. And so that's when I've been looking more deeply at this, thinking, wow, yeah, the concept of Kenneth is not a good concept. It's not a good thing. There's many faults to this body identity. And of course, we've all tried to, better ourselves, better the small self. And that's hard work, really, really hard work. I remember that, thinking about all these techniques that you can learn through self-help. And I just used to think, how on earth am I going to remember all this to try and deal with situations, deal with myself, deal with my mind? How am I actually going to accomplish this? Because maybe you do accomplish something, but yet more stuff seems to come up. And on this journey, that's what we're doing. We're bringing the darkness to the light. And so the ego is not happy about that and wants to say that this is terrible what you're doing. This is not helpful at all. You're not happy. Because what it actually realizes is it realizes that there's something above it, which is the light, but it doesn't know what it is. And it's fearful of that light. It's fearful that there's something above it. And so that's where we're going. And when we start moving in that direction to keep itself intact, it's going to do everything to stop you from leaving its identity. And so it's like if you talk to anybody who starts doing meditation, most people say, oh God, I stopped because my thoughts, my mind just keeps running away with it, with myself. And there's so much dark thoughts in there. There's so much nonsense down there. And I find it hard to stop it. And so that's what we're actually clearing. That's what self-inquiry is looking at the thoughts and releasing them to the Holy Spirit. Because they have been ruling you, even though they're so subtle, seemingly unconscious. But yet in actual fact, they are your consciousness. They are ruling you, and you're not aware of them. And so when you go inward, you just basically start to see what you actually believe about yourself. But you don't want to believe that that's you, and you're trying to deny it. And so what we're practicing is that we have to take everything back to our mind. We have to actually allow them and see them and then release them. And so, you know, the many conversations that I've had with some of you have been so deep, like, am I going in the right direction? Because there's so much stuff coming up. And is this right? And it's like, yeah, this is right. We want to be the happy learner. Yeah, the ego is going to tell you it's going to be terrible, but we have to hold on tight to one another and to remember that we are going in the right direction and that everything must be faced. And that's actually why we do need each other. We need to hold each other's hand. We need that person to join with in their right mind to say, this is not who you are. You're not going to convince me that this story is you, until we find that release. And that's basically what our brother is all about. Our brother is a true reflection of ourselves. And it's going to give you the reflection of what you don't like about yourself, and it's going to give you the reflection of what you do like about yourself. So it's extremely helpful. So a brother joins with you in your true identity. It doesn't believe in any of the good or the bad. And whatever you seem to perceive in yourself, the good and the bad, needs to be let go of. Because if you think you're good at anything, that blocks you just as much as what you think is bad, because it's not real, it's not your true identity. And that's the whole point. You're not this body identity. You are far, far greater than that. And that's really what A Course in Miracles is drilling into us over pretty much every page. You're not this, you're not this, you're not this, you're not this, you're not these good thoughts, you're not these bad thoughts, you're not these in-between thoughts, you're not these grey thoughts, you're not these dark thoughts, you're not any of it. None of it at all. And that's why it's like, no, surely I can hold on to the good things about myself. And it's like, well, they're just false as well. You just made those up just to keep this like, it's like the crumbs, isn't it? It's like whatever you think, oh, I'm a kind person. And it's like, there are no kind people, because there are no people. You're not a person. That's the problem. And so, of course, we can't just say that. You know, I still believe I'm a person, so I'm not trying to pretend that that's not happening. It's like, okay, I still believe in this personality self. I still believe in a world outside of me, and I'm wanting to take it all back to release it all. And that includes, as I just said, the good and the bad. Because there's nothing good about Kenneth, there's nothing bad about Kenneth. It's all the same. It's actually all completely and utterly neutral. And so we want to come back to that blank slate whereby there is no Kenneth, where there is no you. There is no you to judge whether you're right or wrong. That's the whole predicament that we find ourselves in. And that's what I've been finding myself in. Am I having a good day? Am I having a bad day? Am I being affected by the outside, which is creating a good day? Am I being affected by the outside that is creating a bad day? No, it's simply all of my thoughts about myself that are coming up. And so that's really the only thing that I've got to be vigilant for, is to see my thoughts and to follow as much as I can my joy. And my joy comes in these beautiful joinings that I have. And most of you are probably listening in where we join together and you ask questions and you want to have calls and we have calls and we just get clear on what's going on. And that's the beauty of it, because I know it's all for me. It's always only for me to release that, to teach what I want to learn, that I need to learn. And so this week it's like been scattered around and I've been being shown, yeah, it's your perception. It's your perception that we've got to work with. And we always come back to this, but it's just so important. And I just love it. I love looking at perception. And it's like your perception is completely and utterly wrong. Your perception about the world, your perception about yourself, your perception about others is completely and utterly wrong. And so that's a really good thing. So here now, we want the experience of seeing the real world, true perception. The experience to end all perception. To see yourself as who you are. That's the only reason why we've come together today. And deep down in your heart, you want that. You want to know. And that's the kind of exciting thing about this. And that's why it's not to actually get caught up in the concepts of A Course in Miracles. It's not about understanding them. I love that. That's what Dave has been talking about a lot. It's like understanding comes after. You don't understand first and then you get it. An experience will come that will end the doubting, that will show you who you are. But you won't understand that first. So any concept in A Course in Miracles, it's like giving. For instance, oh, I've got to give. Well, you don't know how to give. You've never given anything in your life. A personality self cannot give anything. It has nothing to give whatsoever. And so it's like, well then what is it? So we get panicked by that we feel like we need to know what it is. But actually it's just a prayer. The prayer is only show me then. And that becomes for me really exciting, because it's like, wow, you're explaining to me that I have no clue about this idea, and no one around me knows about this idea because it's not in form. So there's got to be an experience that is beyond all of this, that has to dawn on my mind to show me the truth. And so it's like being a child again at Christmas. It's like whatever day in your country you have your presents. As a child, you can't wait. You're excited to find out what the gift is. And we have to all wait for that very special day, whatever it is, 24th, 25th of December normally, if that is your seeming religion or whatever, background in Christmas or your birthday or whatever. And then you're excited to see what the gifts are, and you can't wait to see what they are. And then finally, it's the moment where, okay, it's time to go and find out what the gifts are. And you go in the room and you find, yes, there are gifts for me. This is beautiful. And now we don't know what's inside of them. And we unpack them to find the gift. It's a surprise. And so that's what I see the Course in Miracles as. I see it as, wow, they're all just gifts for me. And I don't know what the gifts are yet, but eventually I'm going to unwrap them. They're going to be unwrapped and they're going to be revealed to me. So that's the kind of exciting thing. So I don't have to worry about trying to work out what they are. You know, for instance, like everybody gets caught up on, what does it mean that the script is written? Well, the whole point is who cares? You are not going to understand it in form. You're going to have the experience of it. So that's how I see it. I see it's okay. The script is written. Great. I need to know the experience of it. I don't need to have an understanding of it. What's the point in understanding it? Who cares? Who's the one that wants to understand it? It's the self-concept again. It's just back in the trap. And what we're doing is we're wanting to go higher than that and be like, okay, script is written, don't understand that, big deal. You're going to have to show me what it is. And so this is the exciting thing about A Course in Miracles, that's the undoing. We have to be so open to letting these ideas come into our mind without us trying to know what they are before the experience comes, because you're never going to know. And then you actually block yourself by thinking that you know what it is before you know what it is. And that's the whole point of not knowing. You don't know anything. There's nothing to actually know about A Course in Miracles either. The concept is not going to understand it whatsoever. It's never going to get it because it's the very undoing of it. So all the time the ego's wanting to learn, it's just, again, it's the false game. That's why it's all about prayer, actually. That's why it's the deepest prayer of our heart, and that prayer has already been answered. And so we just have to allow that prayer to be revealed. So in the meantime, our work is just to be looking at what we're actually believing. So, as my friend, she's been sharing with me, she had a lot of thoughts about men. And I said, well, why don't you write them down? Why don't you write down all your beliefs? And then she's been writing, and she said, I've been writing for 2 days. It just hasn't stopped. And I said, wow, this is great. Because that's just believing that the concept that you're a woman and that there's men. And that has to be undone. So that's just a beautiful example of someone going much, much deeper in their mind and saying, wow, I believe I'm a woman. And I believe that men are this. And men can do this to me. Men can do that. Men are good for this. Men are bad for that. It's all just false perception. It's all just completely and utterly false, keeping you in the ideas of falsity. And so whatever's coming up in your mind, you don't have to dig into anything. You're being worked with in the moment as to whatever's coming up for you. And so right now, it's like, for me, it's like this concept of Kenneth. It's like, okay, would I see myself as a good person or a bad person? I'd say, well, I'd say I'm a bad person. Kenneth's a bad person. Kenneth doesn't care about anything. He only cares about himself. He's selfish, he's heartless. That's the ego for you. And it wants to make you believe that is me. I don't care. I don't care. And this is what keeps it locked in place, that you don't want to actually look at that. So the manipulation, people don't want to talk about these things. You're like, okay, I'm being manipulative. You might not even be seeing it, but you want to be asking yourself, show me these blocks, show me what I'm doing in my mind. Or even asking your brothers around you to say, listen, if you see anything in me that you feel is like a block in my mind, please let me know, because I actually want to heal it. And I don't want to be believing in this, because someone might spot it in you and be like, yeah, I felt like you were being a bit manipulative then. And you're like, oh my God. And of course, the thing is that the ego wants to make you believe that that's you. But it's not. But as long as you're not seeing it, it's going to be working in the background. And so we're not actually working on anything that's personal. It's just this dirty, rotten perception that has been generated that we believed in. And in actual fact, David was sharing about it last night with us. And he was saying it's like a blackhead, a spot, a black spot that you need to pop. And it's like that black dot is so tiny in it compared to who you are. There's like absolutely everything. This was his, what do you call it? Metaphor, analogy, whatever. And he said, there's absolutely everything. And yet your concept is this black spot on your face. And that's where all of your attention is going. And you're saying, that black spot is me. And as he talked about last night, he said, that's the gap That's the gap between you and everything. And it's like, okay, do you want to see everything or do you want to see the black spot? And you're homing in on this black spot. And you're saying, that's me. And it's not very, very good because it's the black dot. But you're not willing to look beyond all of that, beyond who you really, really are. And so that's what I've seen this week. I've felt like I've been trapped in the black spot, and I'm like, wow, I'm really just looking at the black dot. I'm just completely fixated on this problem as I'm a problem. There's problems in the world, there's problems with others, and it's all just coming at me. And I'm just now facing judgment after judgment after judgment. So through all this process, and then being led around the Course in Miracles to help my mind, it came to me again, and it's so funny that we forget these things, so forgetful, forgetting the truth. And it's actually one of my favourite sections in A Course in Miracles. And I recommend you check it out to loosen up from this concept. And I think it's the best one for me. It touches me. And the chapter is 31. That's the final chapter in the text. And the section is the second section from the end. And it is the Saviour's vision. And in there, he teaches us about our true concept. That we have to take steps, seeming steps, there are no steps actually, but seeming steps and seeming changes to loosen ourselves up from this concept, from this bad concept of ourselves. And that's what I want to share with you all today, because I want to strengthen it in my own mind. Because I was asking for a next step. I was saying, okay then, so I've got all these judgments. Give me the next step. How can I see this differently? Because trying to be the light of the world doesn't always work. And he's like, well, yeah, because that's a big leap from the judgmental mind. The judgmental mind's not going to believe that. So we've got to take a few steps. And so Jesus is teaching me and says, well, don't forget you've got a good concept of yourself. And I'm like, a good concept? Yeah, there's a good concept of yourself. And I'm like, wow, I'd forgotten all about that. I said, yeah, I know you did. That's the problem. So the ego's concept is that you do good things, and you do that, but lurking in the background, you know that you're bad. And you do bad things. And it keeps you locked in that. And it keeps you locked in that suspiciousness. And that's what you believe about others too. That they are good people, but lurking in the background, they can change because there's bad in them. And the very idea of keeping that idea about yourself, that this bad may be in the background, because even believing in good is believing in bad. That is lurking in the background, that there is this bad nature. And in this concept that I'm sharing with you is actually not about good and it's not about bad. It is purely good, because there is no bad behind this good, because it's not of the ego's perception, it's of the spiritual perception, and the spirit is only good. And so that's where we have to align our mind with pure good. And of course the ego sits there and says, what a load of rubbish. We know how terrible the world is and how terrible you are. And so Jesus teaches us that, no, this is a step in the right direction. And what he says, and how many times does he teach this to us? That see the good in everyone. You are so fixed on looking at the bad or the judging. And in the Awakening from the Dream section, chapter 27, he says in there, dream softly of your sinless brother. Don't look at all the things in the dream that seem to hurt you because he didn't live up to your expectations within the dream. Look instead on his kindnesses and his thoughtfulness. Start to look in that direction. And so this is how we start to see the new concept of ourself. There is a concept of you that is good, and it is not a body. It is not you as a body, and it is not in another body. It is beyond the body. So we can even practice that now, of just looking at one another, and whatever you may see, your judgments might be there, but we want to see the good that is beyond the body that you see in front of you. Let's see the good that is not the body, that there's something much, much, much deeper going on, that is our shared identity. That's the difference with this concept. It's not a personal concept. It is a concept that you share with everyone. And you're wanting to see that concept. And that's why he's helping us to see it outside, so we can see it inside. Because when there's still that split of inside and outside, we can use that until they merge. So there is no inside and outside. But for this purpose, we're using this to see this good concept. Everything else can just fade away. The deepest prayer of your heart is that you know, deep down in truth, that you are good. Stepping away from the false concept. Stepping away from the world of beliefs and the world of bodies. But going beyond that, until the body in front of you seems to disappear, whereby you're seeing pure light. And that light reflection is you. So now you can put all your attention on seeing this good concept. A new way of seeing yourself as everything. beyond all the judgments is the good. It's always here. And it's always now. And even what ideas are coming up as we sink into this, you can allow the false beliefs to come up. We release them together to go beyond them. You don't even have to pay attention to those thoughts, but look past them to see the good. I want to see the good. Above all else, I want to see this good that you promised me. So I can go higher in my mind. So I can have a new experience. And I can let go of all of this hate. I give it to you, Holy Spirit. I don't know how to heal, but you do. Help me see with your vision, that I may receive this gift from you, that I can see this good that you promise me. Give me the strength to see afresh and anew, without these judgments, because these judgments hurt me, and I don't want to see with them any longer. I want to see with your perception, with your clear perception of what I am. Show me the concept that ends all concepts, so I can take my next step back to myself. You are God's miracle. You are the miracle. You are a complete miracle. And just as you think that you made a pact with the ego never to reveal your real self, you also made a pact with God. And God told you you were forever loved. And you accepted that love. Because you knew it was true. So we made a promise to love one another forever. And that will never change. Hmm. You do have real thoughts about yourself. And they are wonderful. Because they come from the source. And they are forever true. So nothing can get in the way of you being you. So we can hold this prayer deep in our hearts for this week and forever. It's true. This is the forever prayer that never ends. You are loved. Let's see the truth together. Let's always join in the truth together. Let's find that loving self together. Let's enjoy the miracle together. Let's be the miracle, always and forever. So So many blessings, everyone. Let's expect miracles and stay in this beautiful experience of who you are. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.